Ah, I gotta turn my camera up. I'm not ready. I didn't look at the camera to see what the background. I got my closet all open. This is a recovery room. This is my hospital room. So we just gonna get on up and cover that up. That's all. It took me a little minute. This is one thing about a live. You cannot, I guess when you go live, you cannot have a background. You have to have that green screen background. I guess the green screen background is for live presentations. Now, we have a green screen, we just don't know how to use it yet. That's okay. We're gonna slow it down, give it a minute, take a deep breath or two as we get ready. Right on time. As I climb up the ladder, it's like them other me fall down instead of move on. In a this time, I learn my lesson. If I don't need it, we cut it off. When you're up, we start to stay in control. And it looks like this life is taking its toll. Cause everything, have a place, I know what you get is when you remember. Life is a movie, I'm just playing my role. Yeah, from bad man people, them narrate you know that still try to feel you. So I speak my mind, we don't know filter. Now I feel for me about the home. I can't win every battle, so me know what to fight down, what we live alone, yeah. Because choose me once, stay with me feel, because I know time is running out. I know this. When you're up, we start to stay in control. And it looks like this life is taking its toll. Cause everything has a place. I know what you get is remember, life is a movie, I'm just playing my role. It's red light room and living, but then I know little spin it will be giving. 100 me a tweet every time, in every song, every beat, every line. They tell them I'll fight me, but tell them stop crying. They know work for nothing, they don't know about the crime. We gonna sleep in a studio at night time. Tell them this book man as I'm alive. Soul. When you're up, we start to stay in control. And it looks like this life is taking its toll. Cause everything has a price. I know what you get is when remember, life is a movie, I'm just playing my role. When you're up, we start to stay in control. And it looks like this life is taking its toll. Everything has a price. I know what you get is when remember, life is a movie, I'm just playing my role. So we're gonna give it another song. Let's see, what's the next? All My Life, and maybe we play another song or two while we kind of give it a few. Yeah, we're gonna give it a few 5 minutes to see if anybody gonna come through before we kick off this meeting. So there's always three parts in a meeting: the beginning, before, during, and after. This is the before as people kind of come in the room. And so I'm going to give it a couple of minutes and the people come in the room and let's hear what Capleton talk about all my life before we get into starting the meeting. Driving this street, yeah. Have to find food to eat. And have to get some place where tonight we have to find someone to sleep. Whoa. Babylon a deep wall. Hey, I move to the street, whoa, yeah. Education of the breeze. The youth them want to learn, so I put that on the deep wall. Life, I've been strong. Never get caught in a them confusion. All my life I've been strong. Burning and burning them disillusion. All my life I've been strong. Weakness was not my obligation. All my life I've been strong. Physically, spiritually, mentally strong. Oh, strength is for all. I up and never fall, yeah. Come on, name them go call. Till the whole ever find them back against the wall, oh yeah. Never let me kick you like a ball, no. I'll trample you like a saw, yeah. They tell you right when they want to see you fall. They tell you continue when they want you to stop. I'll be strong. Never been caught in a confusion. All my life I've been strong. Yes, the fire from burn Babylon. All my life I've been strong. Witness was not my obligation. All my life I've been strong. Strength, 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 strength. Yes, this is true. The message is always in the music. That's what I learned and found to be true still today. Come on.
All of us catch hell from the same enemy. We're all in the same bag, in the same boat. We suffer political oppression, economic exploitation, and social degradation. All of them from the same enemy. The government has failed us. You can't deny that. Anytime you live in the 20th century, 1964, and you walking around here singing, "We shall overcome," the government has failed. And the white liberals, who have been posing as our friends, have failed us. And once we see that all these other sources to which we turn have failed, we stop turning to them and turn to ourselves. We need a self-help program.
And here we are, and here it is, that revolutionary 12-step self-help program called Racism Non-Anonymous. Because racism is in the lives of African descendants is not a secret, and I understand it is also not a secret in the lives of many others, right? So we're 7 minutes in, and I'm beginning to notice myself, become very aware of myself as I see myself here in the room. There's no one in the room in the chat, so it's very interesting just to see myself on cam. More importantly, my background and all of that, and the fact that there's no one here still yet. And so, yeah, there's this part of me that popped up and it's like, you sitting there talking, nobody in there listening to you right now. And come on, play something else here. Play something here for me. Yeah, I'm music. Anyway, we can put it down a little. Yeah, music. It's a good tool for calming the spirit, the soul, the anxiety and feelings, emotions, the energy that starts to move. So yeah, that kind of came over me, and I recognize and understand that I am so very low on the totem pole here of the world of social media. In terms of how it works with followers and when people will come and how and blah, blah, blah. And so I'm unknown. And what is this, Wednesday? There are many people, many of the folks I'm subscribed to who are currently live. It seems that this is a pretty hot night. Many folks are live. So, people's information minds are in many other places. along with the fact we're a week before a major holiday that Christmas day. So and people with families and children are pretty busy. So you know that explains it for me. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna keep going from my recovery room. Racism not anonymous. I'm Sis Abin Africa, the recovering African who is culturally enslaved here in America. And I am a representative from the voices in the margins. True to the cause of liberation, African liberation, via unification and utilizing the tool of healthy and effective communications. I tend to say I am acknowledge. I this is a forewarning, maybe even acknowledge I am a traumatized traumatologist, trauma queen, and queen of trauma. And that is understanding trauma and traumatic stress, what it is and how it has and continues to work in the lives of, first and foremost, myself as a woman of African descent, so African descendants, coming with the program and the tools that are necessary to clean up the shit, the myopic shit that has been heaped upon us, European culture, their cultural thought and behavior that they have taught us, force fed on us, beat into us, traumatized us just from the door, from the rip, taking some shit because of their addiction to power and control. Yeah. It's kind of like what happened to us. Dr. Shock, I got a chance to talk with him or just anyway learn from him, sit and learn more from him. Um, and to witness and be a part of a group of other folks of African descent who are also traumatologists, and I would say they too are traumatized traumatologists because we have all experienced trauma, traumatic stress from the door, and the way we all sort of we may conceptualize things different and use different language to describe and part the same things. And so, I learned some of his language and some of the words and terminology. And I like to be able to share with him, what spirit has given me that goes with this puzzle that we are working to put back together. Oh, good Lord. Huh. It just like shit. We was the fucking Humpty Dumpty that fell off the wall. Yeah, we was the Humpty Dumpty to them. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king horses, all the king men, they couldn't put Humpty back together again. Yeah, it's like it did say, Pete Gang, where this shit come from? I did do a little research on where that originated from. I did learn, or I've heard it before years ago in my journey of knowledge gathering, information gathering, to be able to teach. That's what I am and who I am. It's what I do. It's what I've learned and what I'm even learning to accept more about myself and kind of step into. See, teaching. I've done a couple of short clips, and I'll be posting more, where I talked about my experiences growing up. And that is what tonight's meeting, open discussion. This is RNA meeting, Revolutionary 12-Step Self-Help Program. I said that uniquely designed with you and me, the African, in mind, based on Malcolm's mandate that we needed a self-help program, and it's here. 60 years later, Malcolm's mandate, racism non-anonymous. And it's non-anonymous because we are as sick as our secrets. And if we continue to hide behind the secret and be anonymous, man, cause tell nobody, I ain't gonna say nothing. No, damn it, I'm saying something because somebody need to clean this shit up. Now, I've always said, being the spirit, the person that I am, and the way I think and move in the world, I've been the one to ring the alarm. I believe there are in every family scenes in all of the work I've done with people, and as I'm learning more, um, working with so many people, what I come to know, folks who come to quote unquote therapy, they are typically the ones who are the seers, the spiritual seers in the family. And they are the ones who typically are mistreated, you know, abused, marginalized, minimized, shut down, snuffed out. The target, the black sheep, that one. And it's always so interesting how ultimately, even for myself being a middle child of five, I recognize myself as the black sheep, yet and at the same time my siblings, my sisters have all made their transition. My brother is still alive, yet there was a point where as I listened to them and hear their stories and shit, I recognize the dynamic, how we all people all are feeling the same shit. Even when I'm working with couples now, I work with couples doing couples therapy. The couple, the issue for each is different. The bottom line is the same. Each are feeling the same thing. When you take away the covers and you uncover it, it's like you're doing this way, you're doing this way, and the bottom line is we are both feeling the same thing about each other. If that makes sense. At any rate, breaking free and sharing my voice as a teacher, um, as a person who has a lot to say, been around, how they say, revolved around the sun. I've been on the planet for 64 revolutions, approaching 65 pretty quickly. Oh, almost 31 days. And in the next 31 days, I'm on my way to another revolution to 65. So we'll see if it's meant for me to do that. That's coming up. Yeah, at this point today, it's 64 plus, yeah, years of information, knowledge. And I have walked a a very interesting path in terms of, as it relates to particularly uh, mental health, trauma, understanding um, social systems. So, from a sociological perspective, you know, and I have worked with folks, on every level of lived experience as I identify, family, in the community, in the broader society, in the halls of academia, as well as right in the hood, in the crack house. I can move through any of those sort of communities for the most part with ease, uh, and can speak the language from all of those angles. I mean, that was one of the benefits of, it's one of the silver lining in the amount of schools I attended growing up. Now, so and it's probably why I always liked school. Like, school was important. That was the only safe space with all the moving and shit we did, and all the craziness and shit that was happening, in the house and in the hood and in the broader society during the 60s and 70s. Right? School, it was my safe space. I love school and reading, and I attended a whole shitload of them. 18 between kindergarten and junior high. There's one junior high, two high schools, and the rest were out of the rest of the 20 some odd schools. 18 or 19 was on the elementary level prior to junior high, ninth grade, right? So from kindergarten to eighth grade, about 18, 19 different schools. Because we moved around a lot. That was the issue. And we moved around a lot because of shit that was happening in the home and all that. In the community and the black community, families separating, women liberated. So they was out finger popping, bar hopping, and doing their thing, and learning to deal with grief. And grief and alcohol became the medication at the time. Now at that time also, our generation was being manipulated with media and memes and mind control. There was the MK Ultra shit that had been going on during that time period, uh, and the eugenics shit when they started with the IUDs that left many of us sterilized. Yeah, many of us in that generation from the 70s became sterile as a result of those IUDs they came out with. And all that stuff is intentional. This is the shit. It was intentional. When they develop devices and shit, when they manipulate the foods, this intent, there's an intent there. What's your intent? To hurt somebody. Stress, traumatic stress of the human intentional. SHIT, the shit. That's why I call it the shit. And that's what it's about, cleaning up the shit. The shit has been dumped on us and their shitty way of thinking and behaving. Thinking that somehow it was appropriate to, you know, take the arrow. You help a person. You all came to us out the fucking caves. We fed you, we taught you, you learned, you grew, and then you got so big and said, now I'm gonna take it on and claim it as all mine. Again, it's like you help a person with an arrow in their back and you nurse them back to health and they get healthy and then they pick up that same arrow and stab you and take your shit and go with it. That's in the bottom line. I work to use a little words to take away all the fluff and stuff and shit, all these big words. And for me, it's like I got that and I hear the words and I can understand them. Yet a whole lot of folks don't. And coming from where I'm from, I learned how to take that shit I was learned and I learned up in the halls of academia and synthesize it in street terms and bottom line. I've always been sort of like a bottom line person. That's what I learned in school during the 60s, early 60s, I started school I was 4 years old when I started school, because of the time when my birthday comes. They were going to try to make me wait, and my mom wanted me, and so I did start at 4, kindergarten. So, and I'm a good listener. I listen to learn. And I'm a seer spiritually. And spiritually, that's my calling, my gift as a teacher, as a scholar, as a thinker, as a deep thinker. However, because I do not have the letters PhD behind my name because I didn't complete the program to the point where I would have obtained it, then people can. And because I stayed in the hood working, as instead of moving more to the teaching role, and stay in. I didn't want to stay in the halls of academia with the people. I wanted to help the people. I've learned this shit to help the people. So that was always where my heart was, and where stayed. And as a result, again, I'm treated like folks in the hood are treated. You're ignored, you're marginalized, you're ridiculed, it doesn't matter that you have the same intellect and gift and skills of the person you're talking to who did the same things, went through their own life shit, went through school, got their degrees, got their business and working business, and they making big money. They didn't stay in the hood working in the community-based program. They went the other way. So because they went the other way, they could look at you and say, "You ain't shit," even though I know just as much as you, if not more, in this arena. However, no one will listen to me. You're going to listen to that one because they have the degree and they have the all of the amenities that goes with it. All the amenities, because of course, the whole notion, and we were taught, educate to elevate. You wanted to go to school, you wanted to. My mom's thing: you get an education, you get a degree, you could do whatever you want, you could go in wherever you want. However, that really was not true. So there's some other shit that went on and things that happened. Some shit happened to me in a way that did not support me or allow me to complete the PhD program, obtain a degree, and move into positions in the work world where I would have made more money. Bottom line, right? Because that's what it is about: money, resources, economic resources. So, right, break it free and how it happened, because that's what it's about for me. It's like I said, like Philip says, and Dr. Shockfield says, and I, definitely agree. And it's like it was really nice to be connected, and again to hear other scholars of African descent talking and saying the same things. It's like finally me, because I've been carrying this shit for 30 years or more. I learned about trauma and shit as a patient in those programs where they were developing the research and doing the research. Dr. Sandra Bloom with the sanctuary model. I learned about the ACEs in, it was 80, 86, 87, the late 80s. My first hospitalization was in the mid 80s, 86. I guess the first hospitalization when I took myself away for that cocaine shit. I'm like, I gotta get off this. This is a problem. Nope, I was introduced to the crack cocaine in '86, and I got in, and I got out in the same year. The beginning of '86, I was introduced. By the end of '86, I was someone get my ass some help. That was that. But no, actually, that's when I started therapy first in '85, but I did learn about ACEs and all of that probably '86, '87. Maybe this second hospitalization. I don't know. But Sandra Bloom at the Friends Hospital here in Philadelphia, along with a Dr. Bills, that's when they were doing the research that began to uncover trauma and begin to bring trauma out from under the rug again. See, because there's been a historical pattern whereby society in general begins to recognize this thing called trauma and the impact it's having on people, and they do something about it, and then they slip back under the rug. So the first time, historically, is back during the Freudian era with his work with hysteria. It's really about trauma because those females who became hysterical during the Victorian age had also been being sexually abused by their fathers, because that's their thing. Your body, my property, or some shit. They did what they wanted. The pedophilic and all those behaviors, that's where shit comes from. So that's what hysteria, was about. And then it went back under the rug. It came back out from under the rug during the war efforts with shell shock, where they recognized shell shock. And, then they begin to call it battle. It's a battle fatigue, shell shock, PTSD is when they begin to term PTSD. And again, it kind of went back under the rug, and it just focused on veterans and so forth. And then it came back to the surface in the 60s during the civil rights era, where women abuse, child abuse, and domestic violence became the focal point and recognizing the trauma happening to people, triggering this thing that we now know as PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder. And or we also know it as some of us post-traumatic slavery syndrome or post-traumatic slavery disorder. Either way, they're both appropriately fitting when you understand the definitions of those terms and how they use them, right? So again, I can speak on that on many different levels. Now, there are times where the street part of me, the hood part, I'm going to speak about an issue, and I'm not going to speak from this very uh, regulated professional tone. I'm going to come straight from the gut and from the fucking hood and be like, this shit, the fuck, you know, the phone, the phone part of a discussion. Or because when that part, when you're talking about, thinking about an injustice that has taken place, anger is a natural, normal response. The spirit alerts us to what it senses. The spirit senses. That's what sight, sound, smell, touch, taste. And when you see some shit going down that's wrong, the natural automatic response. He talked about the ants, the automatic thoughts that they call ants, quote unquote, in you know professional world. Those automatic thoughts, and you want to begin to learn how to catch, challenge, and change them. And they have different ways of speaking about it. Yet, as I understand it, and as I break it down, base to bottom, you know, the lowest common denominator. That was a thing I remember about math. I like math. I wasn't good at math so much. I was more a reader in English and more reader, talk speaker. However, what I remember is certain terms and words that stuck, and how important it was to always look for the lowest common denominator of shit. So that's how I even applied the mathematics shit that I was learning to life and the things that I'm seeing and reading and experiencing. It's like, okay, okay. So what's the lowest common denominator? Because that's what I'm going to address first, so to speak. That's where the problem is. That's where the root. That's where the root is. Cause the root cause. And to get to the root cause is what is radical. That's the definition of radical. To get to the root cause of something. And I'm not sure if these terms or definitions are still presented and or how much they have changed. However, the resources that I have studied and books and different things I've studied over time, that's what I know about that term. Like, oh, okay, and it makes sense. Because I'm very radical in that regard, because I'm about getting to the root cause of the problem. For first myself as a woman of African descent, and then what I see in my family and community of African descendants. And we have all, everywhere we are, experienced the same thing. European shit being dumped upon us, their way of thinking and behaving. And because they think that we are quote unquote shit, then they say, okay, it's okay to step all over us. Let's step, and they like stepping and playing and shit. They see us as shit. They can step all over you and play with you. What do you do with shit? You flush it, and they take shit and they use it to fertilize the earth, because that's the power of shit. Fertilizes life, fertilizes growth, and they're using us to fertilize their growth. There's some shit. Some shit. And like how we get out of this shit. That was my bottom line. Like, okay. I had not I had not heard Malcolm this clip with Malcolm X when he said that I was 4 years old. So I probably heard it at the age of 4, yet I had no clue or understanding what it meant and what he was talking about being 4 years old. I came across this clip well after my development and design of Racism Non Anonymous because I knew I needed a safe space to speak my voice because my voice was pretty much suppressed growing up in my life. Being a middle child, that's what I talked about a couple of nights ago, and how my voice was suppressed because as a seer and somebody who likes to ask questions, that wasn't allowed too much. You don't ask questions. So it's don't think, don't feel, just do it. Somebody said do. You're supposed to ask no questions. With me, I don't ask questions. And I was always the one asking questions. And I was always the one asking questions that everybody else was thinking, but nobody else wanted to ask. And also as a result, I was shunned a lot, right? My voice was suppressed. And that continued for a very good part of my life, in my family and community, in broader society. I tend to be hesitant about speaking my voice and thinking that anybody who cared to hear me or wanted to hear me. And that is a thing that I am going through and growing through because I understand that's how life works. You know, and I can take a deep breath, slow my growth, catch myself, manage and control, and navigate which way my spirit moves and how it goes. I can calm my mind, settle the thoughts, all of the different parts of me. See, they call those ants, the ants, those automatic thoughts. I see those automatic thoughts are as parts of myself because the self was shattered with trauma. So if let's say if at the age of 4, yeah, because at the age of 4, that was one of the first memorable that I can remember and see at the age of 4, when my mom left my dad because my dad did some shit he wasn't supposed to do to my oldest sister, and my mom busted him upside the head with a bottle. He never closed that eye again, all the way. That eye never closed all the way, because that's the way she left him in that chair, drunk, with the blood coming down his face. And she got us up out the bed. Let's go, get up, let's go. I was 1964, and so, and hey, who's here? Somebody give me a shout out, say hi, you here, you listening, you got something to say. I'm just popping it off, talking about how what I had to break free from years and years of suppression when our voices have been suppressed, especially when we are seers and gifted with BNA. That's what I came here for, to look at the shit that's going on that nobody want to talk about. And now it's overrun us, folks. So now we need some major tools to get out from under this shit, the European story that has been forced upon us. Because my siblings, with all of their, siblings and community and all of the folks who want to shut down radical thinkers, so to speak. You're too radical, you have to behave like white people. That's not me, that's them. And however, they're programmed and they're comfortable with being in it. That's what Racism Non Anonymous is about. Admit you programmed and you self-destructing and your African life is unmanageable because that bullshit you're doing and the way you're doing it is just a bunch of shit. You practicing and behaving like Europeans to get the degrees and now I gotta charge this and all that bullshit. Like what the hey? I thought we was working together to get up out of here. Yet, and people are not gonna listen to a voice in the margins. You don't have that degree and you don't have all the fluff and stuff. Oh, I want to hear you because we want all of that. Like, yeah, okay, y'all black people act like we not in a whole bucket of European shit. Traumatized, minds all shattered. So for me, all of those quote unquote automatic thoughts are ants are actually just parts of myself. The other voices, they got all shattered with shock, like shock, constantly. Every time you turn around, here comes some more shit. The next shit, ah, and the next shit, yo. And then I could talk about this other stuff. Here, they got stuff they come out with Lil Wayne and them, and what they did with money, COVID money during the COVID time, and this shit is it's like all I it's just weird, because I grew up hearing my mom saying, "Wait till the shit hit the fan," and all I'd be like, "Mommy, hit the fan. It's flying everywhere. People just hurting each other intentionally with all the violence, stress of the human intentional type." And I'm safe to go out the damn house. Now, see, this what happened. This the part that get triggered, that traumatized me. I don't know how long you've been here listening. Who was listening earlier? The first the first 20 minutes, I was in a more calm, professional prose, so to speak. And yet, like I was saying, that's what I was saying. When you start thinking about the injustices, the natural response, the spirit's response is anger. It's just a matter of learning how to get a grip. Let me pull myself in. Let me pull it back. So I can see, okay, what do I need to do? A, to protect myself from somebody else's shit. People open their mouth and hit them some shit. It's like, since like, just step back and recognize what's mine and what's not. Now, people don't even know their own because they want to stop and look at their own self. And that's where the work is. That's what they call therapy. As I say, it's a work of therapy. It's just about learning how to look at yourself, how to activate that third eye. And it's pretty simple and necessary. And no, like Buju get ready holler, like Buju get ready say that. It's not an easy road, this thing called therapy. It is not an easy road to get out under centuries and centuries of fucking shit and stress that we've been dumped and dealing with. How we have been fucking reprogrammed to think and behave like them. Not an easy road. Mm-mm. And that's the deal. Even for them, Jay-Z, yeah, they think it's all the glam and glitter. The shit wasn't no easy road for them either. I guess they seeing that now. How about that? How about that? Isn't all that glamour and glitter? And this is what you have to do to have it, and you have to do some shit to keep it. And you forget that you forget this damn story that these people mean you no good. They mean us no good in that regard, unless they are actively in the process of fucking fixing themselves. However, if they don't even see themselves, it's not gonna work. And how long before we begin to learn from our history? Kabaka Pyramid, when I'm have a song, you say that we keep repeating our ancestry. How is it we keep repeating the same shit? What the See, that's when the mommy in me gets triggered. And who is the mommy? Mama Africa, Mama Earth. This shit hurt to watch what's happening to us and how. And I'm sick of shutting up. I'm sick of fucking shutting up. Oh, you need to think positive. Oh, you so negative. Shut the fuck up. You don't see all this negative shit happening. I'm not negative. It's negative shit happening. And then am I going to talk about it and clean this shit up? When are you going to clean this shit up? So the tiptoeing around, I don't know about y'all. That's the kind of mommy, that's what my mommy used to say, girl. Clean that shit up. Why you tiptoeing around there? You see that right in front of you. Act like you don't see shit. And that's how black people act. When you talk about this shit, I've been talking about this shit for the last 30 years. It's like a damn shame. I'm just disgusted. It's like, and all I want to do, just talk and teach about what we got to do. We got a plan. We know, the shit is there. However, we smart. We can come up with a plan for how to fix it and deal with it. We can't talk about that. Just walk around and just do it. Just sit in this shit. Give me 2 minutes. Ugh. Go. This shit hurts because I grew up in the 60s. I grew up listening to Malcolm X, Dr. King. That was my foundation. And it's just getting worse and worse. Everybody just trying to make every ends meet. And this is what we get. And it's not an easy road. And so, that's all that happens. Yeah. But talk about the injustices, then the anger is triggered. And I'm gonna speak from that voice. That's that traumatized part. That's that mama part of me. that part, Mama said it's time to clean it up, folks. And you know, I I know this is our time. It's our time now because it's revelation time. And having done the work that I've done over the years on myself, because I came into this field of mental health and so forth, um, after starting my own therapy and work. When I first went to school after high school, I started out in nursing, and some things happened. I went in the military. Some things happened. I got married. Some things happened, and then some things happened, and I got myself back together, and I went back to school, um, and I went into therapy, social work at that point, mental health. So where was I going with that? I don't know. I lost my listener. Maybe the mama came out. They're like, oh, I didn't hear that yet. But, you see how you can manage your feelings. I know how to manage the waves when they hit. You're thinking about an injustice, the anger is triggered, and you kind of speak it out, let it out, so that it passes, as opposed to just sucking it up and acting like it's not there. Because when we suck it up, our body then has to deal with it, and it begins to negatively affect or impact your physiology. That's what the ACEs study showed, the direct connect between childhood trauma and later life physical health shit, right? So that's how it works. So that's why it becomes important to just go with it, the flow. It will pass. I think about injustice, or bark about it, vent, get that, move that energy, and then use some music and stuff to help move it, right? And that's just how it works. If you think about something that you lost, if you think about a loss, if we're witnessing a loss, that's why a person, you could watch TV and see someone lose something, and it touches you, it touches something in you, and you can cry. It's your spirit's response. It's natural, it's normal. Feelings are our friends. Feelings are our friends. That's my, if I have a bullhorn and I can run a banner across the world to tell us and to tell people, feelings are your friends. They are there to give us information about what is going on in the world around this body. That spirit is there to alert you. If an injustice is happening, anger. If a loss, sadness, grief. If there's danger, anxiety, panic. What's that? What's that? What is it? And when it's none of those three, the spirit is at peace and it can see joy, pleasure. And when there's, pleasure, the spirit responds naturally with a smile. That's how our feelings work. They're there to give us information. So if you find yourself feeling, I don't know where this feeling come out, I don't know why I'm so cranky. Just slow down, breathe, check in with yourself with that third eye, and ask yourself, look at yourself and ask yourself the question: What am I thinking about? What am I remembering? Something is in the back of your mind. Something, there's a memory that's running, that's triggering that feeling that the spirit is responding to what's going on in the mind. That's how it works. And it's like really simple and break down. That's what I was saying. Yeah, I could walk in all these different circles. I could walk in the schools of academia and converse, and or I could go in the crack house or the bar and kick a conversation and be teaching, so to speak, making shit make sense and take away all of the is like mental health jargon. Because again, I came from that school of the lowest common denominator and learning how to look at the bottom line of shit. Like, and take into account history. And because I have so much information about the history of our lives, that's what happened. So we're going to get ready to wrap it up tonight after the 50-minute roll. A couple of people came in. The floor has been open. I'm not I don't even know what it looks like to you all. I probably should have, would have um, um, played myself over on this other computer so I can see what I look like and what it looks like out there for you. But hey there, somebody in the room, you have a question, a comment, you want to share? Anything on your mind about what's in your mind here? Nope. No, nobody don't want to say nothing. Okay. So I'm not gonna keep nobody. I'm not gonna keep me no much longer. It's been real. It's been good. Leave a comment. Um, Leave a question. Like or share, subscribe, and all those good things, and it helps with the algorithms and getting yourself noticed. So I don't see it. That's the thing with me and why I stayed in the hood. Why I stayed in the hood working this working this in the business industry is a whole. It's a whole nother monster, so to speak, for me. And I've done enough work in this mental health arena, um, and to put myself in the business arena now and go through the process to grow a business for myself. Um, that's something you need resources. Yeah, or not. I have the resources. I have this computer. I have internet connection today, and these are the resources that are available to marketing in 2024 and business development. So get on a soapbox and talk and teach and see who gonna come in and who not. That's what it's about. So I guess this is my soapbox, and that's how I intend to use it. This what the room of racism non anonymous is for, because I needed a safe space to talk, because nobody want to listen to me at home, and maybe nobody want to listen to me right here either. Yet one thing that's pretty cool, and what they show us and what they've shown us in terms of their plans for the world, I would say in maybe the next 10 years, with the way things are going, and they blow up the world and all that shit. These little devices and laptops and these discs will be found somewhere. People will hear shit that you find an old laptop, you get shit hooked up or something, and you get the drive out of there. People will know how to do. They'll know how to do all this stuff in the future. More, people know how to do it now. That'll be more. And I just think it's there for posterity's sake somewhere. If I put it out here on the net, on the internet, it's out here. And see that, yeah. And anyway, it's my way of coming closer. Whether anybody come in this room with me or not, through that mystical communication within, we keep on coming together. I thank you for listening. I thank you for allowing me to share. I thank you for listening to me share. That's how we say in the rooms of recovery. the 12-step way, simply say, thanks for listening to me share. Till next time. I can figure out how to end it.